Hi guys, and welcome to our Premier League 2025-2026 mid-season review. Yes, I'm back with my first video of the year, 2026. I'm back with the boys to kick off the new year with our Premier League mid-season review. So as always in this video, we've been talking about how we think the season has gone for all five of our teams. As we're about 20, 21 games now into the Premier League season, we can change our bottom three and change our top four predictions as we get to the end of the video. There will be video chapters as always. So if you just want to get to a certain part, you can click on the in the description. So if you want to get to like Newcastle with Callum, James with Brighton, Luke with Arsenal, and of course Matthew with Everton, and of course me with Liverpool. So yeah, lads, Happy New Year! Did you all have a nice New Year?
Pretty
All good, thank you.
uneventful. Very much so.
Good, good, good. Okie dokie then. Right then, so we'll get started, as always, with Brighton and Hove Albion. So, James, take it away. How do you think the first 21 games have been for the Seagulls this so far this season?
Yeah, it's been one of those really interesting ones where it's just been average. I think there's been a lot of really good games, and there's been a lot of bad games, and then a lot of just nothing. Like we beat Man City at home 2-1, but then we draw against West Ham, we draw against Wolves, drew against Sunderland, which it sounds they're doing well, but also we dominate that game. We should have won that game. Like we've had some great times, had some bad times. Lots of Hertzler in, lot of Hertzler out. I'm still Hertzler in. I think he's done a great job. I think the problem with Hertzler out is that we're not actually doing that badly. Even though we're 11th in the table, there's like what 5 points between 13th and fifth. Like it's probably the closest European race we've ever had for a good few years, where a lot of teams are doing really well and are coming in, Brentford, us, Everton, Newcastle, loads of good. Bournemouth are still doing really well. Fulham are doing great. So you really couldn't predict at the moment. So I'm happy where we are. You could be 2 wins away from in being in European spaces. So I think we've got United in the cup on Sunday. I think we'll take them on. I think we should win that game. I think they're at a period where they're unstable with losing Amarin and not really sure what's happening. Maybe Solskjaer coming in, but so we need to like take advantage of that. And with the greatest footballer of all time coming back to our football club, Pascal Gross, my German king. I'm so happy he's back. It kind of came out of nowhere. Everyone was like, "Oh, we'll get a good signing," and suddenly I was on Twitter and seeing Gross come back to Brighton, like thinking, "Get in, that's going to be great." So, and he's already shown from his game and a half playing, he's as same quality as always been. So I think he's going to be really key for us, and he loves playing against United. So I think if he starts, we'll win on Sunday. So I think for the rest of the season, it'll be the same. You can't really predict who's going to kind of win or lose. You can kind of predict the bottom, predict the top, but the middle is just up in the air. So I think at the beginning of the season I said fifth for Brighton, and I'm not going to say fifth again. I'm going to say seventh because I think there are teams that are better than us who are consistently going to keep playing well and will have our ups and downs. But I think as long as we continue to be as stable as we can, bring a couple more people in this in January. We've got a new director of football. I think came from Arsenal. He seems really good, so I think he wants to kind of put a stamp of authority on it. And so yeah, he is hoping Welbeck's 8 goals. Hopefully, he'll carry us. Costello looks great. Rutter's an interesting striker. Maybe Ferguson's coming back from Roma. He hasn't really had a good time there. We might bring him back or loan him somewhere else. Or um, so yeah, pretty average, but there's still loads of room for improvement. But we are capable of mistakes. I think there's a point against Man City on the other day where Ayari twice tries to pass it to a defender across the face of goal, given straight to a Man City player, and it could have been a goal. And thankfully got a point out of it and stuff. So yeah, here's hoping for a good second half of the season.
Okay. Thank you, James. Yeah, you are right how tight the middle section of the table is. It's incredibly tight. So one win, you go like three or four places up. One loss, you go three or four places down. But so we'll just before we get on, move on, we'll go so talk about where we think Brighton will finish. Quickly, I'll go with Brighton finishing ninth. I think that's where he's so top 10 finish, but it is so tight in that mid-table section at the minute. But right now, I'll say Brighton finish ninth. And maybe a good run in the FA Cup as well. But I think you'll beat United definitely. Cool.
Mhm.
Well, I
Awkward
guess I'll
sign.
I'll fill the silence then. Um, to be fair, the prediction of 10th for Brighton at the start of the season doesn't look too far away as it is right now. I don't think I can see Brighton finishing above Chelsea or United, but then given the fact that they're changing managers, and obviously everything that's going on there is obviously a chance of that happening too. I could see you finishing above Fulham and Sunderland, although Sunderland have had a decent season, of course, which would mean you would finish around somewhere in ninth place-ish. So I think I might, just slightly improve it from 10th to ninth and give you a bit more credit for where it's due. So I'll go ninth too.
Uh, Luke, where do you think Brighton will finish?
Yeah, I think nine's probably a safe bet. I'm trying to find if I've got anywhere written down that I predict them to finish, but no, I don't think I do. But yeah, like James has said, there's been ups and downs. Against City, there was plenty of positives. Like they pretty much got give as much to City as they give to them.
Yeah.
But again, there's been other games where you've struggled against some of the supposed easy teams. So yeah, nine's probably a safe bet, I think.
I'll go with 10th for similar reasons to everyone else.
Okie dokie then. So, right. Thank you guys, and best of luck to the Seagulls in the second half of the season. So, moving on then, let's go to Newcastle. So, so Callum, excuse me, but bit of coke went down the wrong hole. So, Callum, despite a pretty mixed start to the season, you've picked up a bit of form, and now you're only 3 points off fourth. So, yeah, take it away. How do you think the first half of the season has been for the Magpies?
Well, if we'd done this video 3 weeks ago, I think we were sitting in 14th at that particular moment in time because it's like kind of like James has said, Newcastle have had a lot of, well, I think a lot of teams in that kind of area have had a lot of inconsistent performances and things like this. We've won 9, drew 5, and lost 7. We've actually lost 13 points from winning positions as well this season. So I think the only team that has more than us in that, I think, is Bournemouth. I think they might have lost 15 from winning positions. And that came from us losing to West Ham as well after we were 1-0 up against them. We also lost points against Arsenal, where we were leading until the 85th minute, I think it was. Spurs, they scored an equaliser in stoppage time. We were 2-0 up against Chelsea and blew that 2-0 lead. So it's just things like that, really, that's had a bit of a downer on the season. But we are currently sitting in 6th place. Obviously, only 2 points off of Liverpool, who are in 4th. So actually, in fairness, part of me kind of thinks... Oh, sorry, I think it's 3 points now, isn't it? Part of me kind of thinks that... I'm sitting here actually kind of happy, to be fair, about where we are right now. I know there's a lot of competition for those places. There's obviously been signs of some of the old kind of good, strong passing performances that we were used to, but there's also been a bit less of it as well, which is not great. But we've had 3 consecutive wins to get ourselves to where we are right now. The start of the season was weird because we didn't have a striker properly for the first couple of games. We were either playing Osula, who's obviously quite young and just not really refined, or Anthony Gordon at striker, and that just isn't his position. Because of course Isak was still refusing to play. We eventually obviously sold Isak, 125 million to Liverpool. I'm sure Adam will talk about him when we get to that section of the video. We did make some more summer signings. We signed Voltemada from I can't remember where he came from now. Was it Stuttgart? I can't remember exactly where it was now. I think it was 69 million or something along those lines. He scored 9 goals and got 2 assists in all competitions this season so far. So I think he's No, it's not him actually. Bruno Guimaraes has scored 8 goals and got 5 assists in all competitions. So he's actually our best performing player in a certain way. I think he's definitely player of the season so far. I think for Newcastle, he's on a lot of occasions he's saved us in games. He's scored, I think, in consecutive Premier League games now for the last 2 or 3 games. I think something along those lines. Unfortunately, transfers like Anthony Elanga haven't really done anything. Neither is Jacob Ramsey. I don't think either of them have a goal or assist in their time so far. Anthony Gordon's scored 7, but a lot of them have been penalties across all competitions. Harvey Barnes, it has actually our joint most amount of goals with Voltemada. And scored a brace against Leeds the other day, which was a fantastic game for a neutral. I was sitting here, kind of crapping myself by the time we got to the 90th minute. Johan Wissa, we did sign for 55 million, but had a big injury, so he didn't play until quite recently, but he has scored 2 goals already for us. I don't really know exactly what's going to happen in terms of transfers in the January window. We did just have an injury to Fabian Schär, so we might have to sign a centre-back in this window, possibly a left-back. We've had some defensive issues. But I think the main thing is that we're still in all the competitions that we could be in. We've got a semi-final Carabao Cup date with Manchester City coming up. And given the fact that they are obviously somewhat weakened by their defence at the moment, there is a possibility of us maybe getting through to a third final in 4 years in the Carabao Cup. We've got Bournemouth in the FA Cup tomorrow. Like we've said, we're still kind of fighting for Champions League football with a lot of other teams around that area, or at least European football. And obviously, even in the Champions League, I think we're 12th in the league phases with 2 games left. I mean, we've beaten Benfica, we've beaten Bilbao, we beat Union Saint-Gilloise, we drew with Leverkusen. I think we've only lost against Barcelona and Marseille in the Champions League in the 6 games we've played so far. Which is a pretty decent go around, really, considering the last time we were in the Champions League, we kind of were like a bit of a wet fart, to be honest. Again, I did say that, like before, in the kind of prediction about the hierarchy not being very strong. We've got a new director of football and a new CEO as well, in Ross Wilson, who came from Nottingham Forest, and I think what's the other one's name? David Hopkinson. I think he used to have something to do with Real Madrid. So again, we're kind of waiting to see what they're going to do. I think we've announced plans for a new stadium potentially, but there hasn't actually been anything that's really gone much further than the plans for it being approved so far. But it's been a somewhat weird season. There have been a lot of times where I've been very frustrated. But as it is, reasons to be positive in the competitions that we're still in.
Yeah. Fully agree with that, Callum. There's definitely reasons to be still positive heading into the second half of the season. Best of luck in that Carabao Cup semi-final. Go to another final and retain it once again. Wouldn't that be great?
We'd probably have to play Arsenal though, so I'm not really sure I'd be overly confident beating Arsenal in the Carabao Cup final. But
Okie dokie. So I'll go with my finish for Newcastle. I think it's going to be very interesting heading into the final half of the season because Brentford are up there. We'll see how United and Chelsea do. Sunderland could be Sunderland are going into the top 4 race, are they? But I'm going to say 6th for Newcastle. I think it'll be close, but I think he'll get 6th and a good push in the to maybe win the Carabao Cup again. So yeah, I'll say 6th right now for Newcastle.
to be
James?
fair, I don't think I actually said where I thought we were going to be.
You didn't. I was going to say.
Just given what the table looks like and what I was saying about Chelsea and United not too long ago in respect to Brighton and Fulham and Sunderland, and to be fair, first of all, Brentford, and probably I was going to mention them when we got to relegation. But apologies to Keith Andrews because I was very dismissive of him in the prediction video. As like what the hell is this guy? But he does have Brentford in 5th right now. So, first of all, apologies to Brentford fans if any of you are watching. But yeah, I mean, given the way things are, you'd expect Brentford would be a bit of a forest and maybe drop off towards the end of the season as well. Fulham, probably not. Chelsea and United, as we've said. I think it'll be, well, I don't want to say we'll be competing with Liverpool for 4th spot, but they're a bit inconsistent too, as I'm sure Adam will mention. So I'm going to say 5th because it will give us a Champions League place as well if we finish 5th.
Okay. James?
I think I said you're going down at the beginning of the season. I'm not going to say that. You'll be happy to know. I'll say 6th as well. I think it'll be, again, a tough between 4th and 7th or 8th, depending on how many Champions League places we get. I don't know. I saw something about potentially 11 clubs being in Europe next year, but that's a bit of a way off. So I'm going to say 6th.
Okay, yeah. Matthew?
I'm going to say 6th as well. I think there's been a lot of inconsistency, and I think the big question is how tight that gap is between all those mid-table teams, like us being one of them. But I do think Newcastle have the quality to outshine some of the other teams that are in that ranking. So 6th.
Okay. So, Luke?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, 3. I think I'll just miss out on the Champions League places. I just can't see Chelsea dropping off for so long with how they started the season. I think they'll end up pipping Newcastle to 5th. So yeah, 6 for Newcastle for me.
Okie dokie then. So yeah, up the Magpies second half of the season, Callum. Woo! Right, moving on to Everton. So the blue half of Merseyside. So Matthew, I'm sure you've got quite a bit to say here. It's been a very up and down season for the Toffees, although 12th right now, but only on 29 points, which is I think very respectable. So yeah, take it away.
Yeah, so at the start of the season, I predicted 11th, so we're only one place below that. So it's basically going how I thought it would be. The new stadium does seem to have had somewhat of an impact, but it's the inconsistency. It's that classic Everton problem of, beating the big teams and then losing to the shit teams. Like, there's just this constant 1 week, there's this buzz around the club, like, oh, we're on the best point. You see all these stats, the best points run in 30 years, the first time we've been in the top half of the table at Christmas since, like, Moyes was last in charge, just stuff like that. And then the next week we'll draw with Wolves, and then it'll be with the worst team ever. Like, it feels like we're a lot earlier in the season than we actually are, just because that gap is so tight in the middle of the table. 1 week we'll win, be 8th. In fact, it was that Wolves game this week. If we had won that, we would have gone up to 8th. But because Wolves scored that goal, we're now 12th. It's just a very tight gap, and we need to start being more consistent. The big positive that I've seen recently has been when we lose, we still seem to score. And that might be taken for granted for many teams, but Everton have never really been a high-scoring team. But when we lose, it will be 3-2, 2-1, 4-2, something like that. So we are getting goals even when we're losing the games, which is not something we've seen recently. It's quite disappointing seeing Calvert-Lewin doing so well at Leeds, I have to say. It kind of shows that we were the problem all along. But also Tierney Barry seems to be gaining his confidence. He was a player that I thought, already was a waste of money. Seems to be proven us wrong, scored the past few games. And Moyes is not thinking of getting any players this month because of how the strikers are performing. And I do still think we need a star striker who's going to be able to put finishes away. I think we'll stick it out around the same place. I can't see us finishing top half just because of how inconsistent we've been. However, we've had some great results this year this season that I'm very happy with. So yeah, I'm still going to stick with my first half of the season prediction of 11th.
Okay. Luke, where do you see Everton finishing?
I'm going to say Bayern mid-table, 10th, just behind Brighton. Again, like Matthew said, just too inconsistent, but so have a lot of teams within them positions between 6th and 13th, 14th. So it's hard to predict as the table looks right now. But yeah, I'll just say 10th for now. It depends on when they get Dewsbury Hall back. Grealish obviously has to serve a suspension now. NGI coming back from AFCON. If them three can all click together again, then you never know. It might start going up the table again. But yeah, I'll say 10 for now.
Okay. I'll go with 11th for Everton. Like Matt said, because it's so tight in that mid-table section. But I think 11th will be respectable enough, I guessing, to build on, and then Moyes can bring in hopefully a few players in the summer to really strengthen that squad ahead of next season. But right now, I'll say 11th for Everton. James.
Yeah, I probably agree. 11th, I'd say. Again, it'll just be a pretty consistent-ish season for you guys, and then I think that we won't push into the top places, but I think you'll still put a good show on. I think it'll be again just a chance to kind of show the Hill Dixon Stadium off and onwards and upwards, I guess.
Callum?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on the teams around. Sunderland have got about 8 players out at AFCON or something. So I think when they all return, obviously, there's no reason why they can't go back to their early season form, which was pretty good actually for Sunderland, including beating Newcastle, which I didn't mention, which really depressed me, of course. And what an own goal it was as well by Voltemada, which was probably one of the best own goals I've ever seen. So yeah, I mean, Everton again. Crystal Palace really dropped off, and so have Tottenham. If they both and then jump, and then Bournemouth, and then it really could be anywhere between 9th and 14th. Really, it sort of very much depends on those kind of teams around, doesn't it? But I'll stick with you lot, and I'll go about 11th, and we'll go safe.
Okay. As I was looking at the table, I've just noticed Tottenham Spurs are 14th. Jesus, I didn't know they were that bad. What the hell? I could have sworn they were like 8th a few weeks ago. Good God. But anyway.
But then they're also only 5 points behind
Yeah.
Newcastle in 6th, so it's one of those things, isn't it?
It's very tight, yeah. Okie dokie then. So yeah, best of luck to the Toffees second half of the season, Mass. Right then, on to Arsenal. So, Luke, I'm sure it's been a very exciting season for the Gunners. But there's a lot of hope and optimism around the Emirates that could this finally be the season you win the Premier League after being runners up for 3 years in a row. What's your thoughts, Luke? Obviously, 6 points clear, 21 games in. What you thinking?
Yeah, I couldn't really predicted this to go as well as it has done so far, to be honest. First in the Premier League, first in the Champions League, into the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. Got Portsmouth in the FA Cup on Sunday. So that should be a path to the 4th round, hopefully. Yeah, I think the big reason for it is the depth that we invested in the summer. We seem to have a replacement for every single player because we've had so many injuries this season. But for example, when Saka was out for 3 weeks, Madueke come in, played really well. Then Madueke got injured for 2 months. Saka come back, played really well. Martinelli and Trossard both had spells on the bench, but on the sidelines, but both interchanged with each other when they were injured. Gyökeres has had injuries, then Marino's had to play up front again. He scored a few goals. Yeah, everyone. Gabriel's been out, Saliba's been out. We've had Hincapié, Mosquera. The right backs have been out. White, Timber, interchanging. And then Calafiori, Lewis Skelly at left back. It's quality all around the pitch. And I think one of the main reasons that the squad is pulling through all these games is the midfield at the minute. Declan Rice probably en route to being one of the players of the season right now, and Martin Zubimendi probably one of the signings of the season right now. They're playing really well together, and Rice in particular carrying us through some games like at Bournemouth last week. I found it quite funny when I was looking up our top league scorers and top assisters. You don't really expect it for the team in first place, 6 points clear, but our top goal scorer, joint top goal scorers are Trossard and Gyökeres. Guess how many goals they have?
5.
Correct.
I knew what it was. I saw it earlier. Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I saw it.
Yeah, when you looked at Liverpool last season, Salah was probably close to 20 by now. Like Haaland in second, I'm guessing he's probably over 20. He got Thiago in bloody Brentford. I'm guessing he's on like 16, 17 by now. But yeah, I think that's a bit of an issue of ours, but because the goals are getting shared around the team between those games, but you just sometimes need that superstar to drag you through, and we haven't had it yet this season. Other than Rice running up and down the pitch, defending and attacking. And again, top assister, Trossard, again, with 4. So, again, not really promising numbers. And our big money centre forward that I probably bragged about in the summer just hasn't really paid off at all. I'm guessing you've all seen the memes about him getting called Brock Lesnar and whatever else that he's been called. Yeah, I'm desperate for him to do well, but it just hasn't gone well at all. He's been nothing short of terrible. I think that's yesterday was his seventh game that he didn't have a single shot in, and that's just not what you want from your striker. I think he only had 8 touches in total, and only one of them was in the box. He's just had too many games that have just passed him by. Some people say he hasn't got the service, but at the same time, when you've come in as star centre forward, you need to be impacting the game yourself without service, if you know what I mean. Like Ekitike and Voltemada, for example, have been getting involved in the build-up as well as finishing goals off. I think we need that sort of player, which leads me on to, I think Kai Havertz is going to have his Thanos moment where, like the meme that says, what is it? You couldn't live with your own failure. Where does that bring you back to me? I mean, he's been really struggling with injuries himself. He had the big hamstring injury in January that left him out for 4 months. Come back, first game against United, out again for another 4 months. But he should be playing on Sunday, so hopefully he can come back fit and firing. I'm sure he'll replace Gyökeres in the starting 11 in the league before we know it, because it just hasn't been good enough. I'm going to be optimistic this time and say we will get it over the line, because if I don't say that then that's just massively pessimistic of me. With 6 points clear, I say we're still going to get pipped to the title. We still might. We've been here before. As Adam said, this would be the 4th season in a row if we don't get it over the line this time. But yeah, I'll try and be optimistic and say this will be the one.
Okay. Everyone's name. Matt, where do you see Arsenal finishing? Oh,
First, I think they're going to pull through.
you did predict Arsenal to win the league at the beginning.
Yeah, I remember.
We were all like,
We lost it.
what?
We were all like, huh?
Yeah, I think there is an argument to be made that they're going to bottle it, but it's looking like you will pull through, I think.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
James?
You're not going to like me, Luke. I'm going to say second. I think that because the fact that you guys have got such little scores, like you're winning 1-0s, kind of 2-1s, I think your defense has been really good, but I don't know how long that can last. And with City kind of stuttering, you just know that Pep's going to go like that. And they're going to go, Liverpool saw it, 5 years ago, and they're going on like a 17 winning streak and stuff. And like, I think at any point City going to turn up and just start playing and winning. And I don't know if Arsenal can keep up with that. So I think, yeah, I'm going to say Arsenal second. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going to say Arsenal second.
Okay, Callum?
I think the thing is, even though there isn't like an out and out big scorer in Arsenal, I think what it is that lots of players score. In the fact that you've got your Trossard and your Gyökeres on 5 or whatever, but you also score a lot of goals from set pieces, and so Gabriel's probably got about 3 or 4, I'd imagine. Saliba will probably have a couple. I'm sure that Declan Rice has got a couple as well, because he chips in with a few. So it's like Newcastle will have a couple of decent scorers, but Arsenal will have more than that to bring up the numbers, sort of thing, is what I think it is. At the end of the day, I think City, like I was saying before, with the injuries and stuff, I think they've drawn the last 3 games or something. I know Arsenal drew with Liverpool, but City can't keep drawing games and expect the title race to still continue. So they're going to have to pick something up pretty quickly. Otherwise,
signing Semenyo might be a first kind of.
Well, yeah, I guess that's true. But I think the main thing really is their defense right now with the injuries they've got. So Mark Gahey might be going to City. If they get him, then it might be a bit of a different story. But I just can't see Arsenal bottling it. Hopefully. At this point, 6 points, City a bit inconsistent. They've lost to Brighton and Newcastle this season, lots of draws. So Arsenal are going to get it over the line this time.
Okay. I've gone back and forth on this because this is very tricky. I know you're 6 points clear. Could have been 8 points clear, but he's putting an absolute stinker in the second half against us. last night at the
Really?
end. I was like, this is Arsenal for top of the league. We were dominating possession here. We're crap. Um, but right now, I know I've said this to Luke several times the last few seasons. We know what it's like to have City chasing us and it'll be neck and neck, and it's horrible. Um, right now, I think it'd be very tight. I'm gonna say Man City will catch us up and win it. With Semenyo coming in as well, I think that's a big plus. But I think he'll win the Carabao Cup, and I think he's got a very good chance of winning the Champions League. So I think that'll more than make up for maybe not winning the league again. But that's my prediction right now. I think it'll be very close, like maybe two or 3 points. But that's my prediction. Yeah, sorry, sorry, Luke.
That's fair enough. You've seen it before, so
Yeah, sorry.
maybe again.
Right, is that everything on Arsenal?
Yes.
Okay. Oh boy. Let's rip the band-aid off.
Let's
Right.
just skip this one and move on.
Right then, so should we do top four, lads? Okay. I've got a lot to say here, but I'll try and keep it condensed and short. So, on to Liverpool. Um, so yeah, obviously in the summer, a lot of hype, a lot of anticipation, a lot of momentum with it's biggest ever transfer window the club's ever had. So many players have come in, broke the transfer window twice. I'm like, okay, we're ready to go. And very strong start, won our first 5 games of the season, despite they were very, very scratchy, dirty wins. Like, we didn't play well, but we were winning. And we were saying, my God, we're not playing well, but we've won our first 5 games of the season. So, yeah, imagine what happened when we start playing well. And then we went on one of the worst runs I've ever seen as a fan. It was the worst run the club has seen since the 1950s. We lost 9 out of 12 games in all competitions, not just the Premier League. It was awful. And they were like, yeah, it's caught up with us now. And they were like, okay, so we didn't end the season particularly strong last year, even though we did win the league. And now it's caught up to us now. And these new players are taking a while to bed in. The balance of the team is all off. I think there's definitely an argument to be made that we miss Luis Diaz, we miss Trent Alexander-Arnold, their forward runs, their passes, especially Diaz. And then when I went to Germany with Matt and went to a Bayern Munich game, and I saw Luis Diaz playing for Munich, and I was like, oh, why did we let that go? Look at him, he's so fast, he's brilliant. Why did we let that go? What idiots, man, idiots. And of course, the tragic passing of Diogo Jota. I know a lot of people have said how much has that impacted the squad. Obviously, a lot of the players are still in grieving. Darwin Núñez, I know he wasn't very clinical, but do we miss his chaotic energy up front? And the new players have just not been up to snuff. Apart from Ekatike, who's been very good. He's looked like the best signings by a mile. He's scored 8 goals. He's looked really, really good. Let's just talk about it. Isak has looked like a fish out of water. He's like, here we go. Yeah, I know that a lot of people are saying he had no preseason, he's not match fit, and he does not suit our style of play at all. I watched several games of him at Anfield, and he's just kind of like walking around the pitch like he doesn't know what to do. He kind of reminds me when we had Mario Balotelli like 10 years ago. I mean, he's not Balotelli bad, but it's like he just doesn't know what to do. And he's like walking around the pitch. But I really have to hope that Isak will come good eventually once he starts getting the service and once he gets his confidence back. Of course, suffered a really bad injury too, so he might not be back now till the beginning of next season. Mohamed Salah's been massively off it, but he's been an AFCON, so hopefully he comes back and gets a few goals. Kirkez has been okay, but he's looked like a rabbit in headlights at sometimes. Frimpong's looked really good since he's come back from injury. He's been really quick. Florian Wirtz, I'm not going to say he's a flop, but to say he's been underwhelming is probably more correct. But he has started to come good the last month or so. We've started to see an improvement in that midfield, and I know he's not got a lot of assists and goals, but I think in other like with forward runs and passes and chances created, he's up there, and I think Florian Wirtz will come good eventually. So despite all that, it is a bit better now. We're unbeaten in 10 games, despite a lot of them being really boring draws. And we did put in a very strong second half performance yesterday at the Emirates against Arsenal, dominating possession despite not having a shot on target because we've got no strikers at the minute apart from Gakpo, who's not been in very good form. So there are still positives. We're still fourth on 35 points, which, if we can get top four, that's good. Still in the Champions League, although we'll see how far we get in that. I really hope we can have a good run in the FA Cup. I really hope Slot doesn't put out a bunch of kids against Burnley next week. But Barnsley. Because I think fourth place in an FA Cup, I think that's a solid enough season, despite all the money we've spent. And hopefully next season can be the season we get really back up there. Fingers crossed. But a lot of fans saying Slot's under pressure. Could he get the sack if this doesn't if this is a bit of a flat season? But I don't think I think he'll get given till the end of the season slots, and then the owners will make a decision. But yeah, lads, that's all I've really got to say on Liverpool. It's been definitely a disappointing season, I'd say, but it's been a bit better the last few games. No, 10 games unbeaten, but it's not. It's been quite like I said, boring football, and we just hope we can get back to the heights of last season at some point. But yeah, right now I'm gonna have Liverpool finishing fourth. I think we'll get fourth place behind Villa. Yeah, I think if we can just get back to the way we played, and I think there have been a slight improvements. I'm gonna say we finish fourth. Yeah, and get Champions League and fingers crossed a FA Cup run or Champions League. Yeah. Matthew, where do you see Liverpool finishing?
I see Liverpool finishing in fifth. I think
Oh,
you'll
you
miss
bastard.
out. You'll miss out on top four, but you have had some decent results, and I have seen a big change since that big losing streak. I really have. Yeah, fifth for me.
Okay. James.
Was it not me who predicted that Liverpool would be bad this season? I think I did.
You always predict us to be bad.
Yeah, and I'm right. I'm
Good, good.
even a broken clock is wrong is right two times a day. So yeah, I think it'll come fourth. I think fourth or fifth. You'll get Champions League anyway because we'll get to fifth place. And I think it'll just be I think you're drawing too much, and it's just it's gonna be a very slow, very broken down end to the season, kind of clunk, 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 clunk. But you'll get over the line. So yeah.
Um, 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 okay, fair enough. Callum, where do you see Liverpool finishing?
I mean, I think probably like we're all saying, I think Villa and City and Arsenal are the probably solidified in their places where they are. So it's the 9 point difference between third and 15th that we have to think about in terms of if Liverpool do go on somewhat well if when Salah returns and Salah plays, because I think a big reason for a lot of the run that Liverpool went on was obviously things around Salah and his attitude and the fact that like when he wasn't playing, you were actually playing better, which was kind of weird. When he comes back, obviously what he said before he went on AFCON about him being thrown under the bus by the club and all this kind of stuff, and that's still when he comes back. It remains to be seen how that's going to be dealt with in a way, I suppose. So who knows how that's going to kind of go. Obviously, Isak is a long-term injury, probably out until at least April, maybe even May. Ekitike, I don't think he has a serious injury right now, but I think with the lack of sort of some attacking options that you might have with injuries, I suppose it could come to do something. But I think a fourth is a bit of a safe bet because I think of the teams around, I think you've been the most consistent recently. So if you can keep that up, you'll finish fourth.
Okay. Luke?
Yeah, I thought you lot were going to walk the league this season with them signings that you made, but it goes to show that sometimes quantity over quality is what you need. Well, even after a title win, maybe not quantity, maybe just one or two signings. I've been impressed with Verti's performance over the last 2 or 3 weeks, but might be too little too late now. Was it 2 goals and assists in his last 4 games? And I think he probably should have won a penalty last night as well. I think he was unlucky with that. But yeah, I think 4 should be safe for you guys. You're on what now? 10-game unbeaten streak.
Yeah.
If you carry on with that, then I'm sure you should get top 4, top 5 minimum. So yeah, I'll say fourth.
Okay, thank you, lads.
I think we can all say, given this was a title defense year, it has been a bit of a whimper of somewhat of a defense. But I mean, sometimes wasn't it Chelsea that won and then didn't really had a bit of a stinker like the year after they won a couple of years ago, things like this. So these things do happen, but just wanted to add a caveat in there.
Yeah, well, the season after we won the league under Klopp, we were rubbish. It's weird, like we just can't seem to like have a good title retaining season. But we still finished in that season under Klopp. We still finished third on 69 points. So see what we can do this season. But yeah, okay then. On to top four then, lads. I think we've pretty much kind of said our top fours from other predictions, but I'll go with mine first. I'm sorry, Luke, but yeah, like I said, very close. But City will win the league, Arsenal second, Villa will get third, Liverpool fourth. James?
Yeah, same for me. City first, Arsenal second, Villa third, Liverpool fourth.
Matt?
It's a tough one. I will say Arsenal, Arsenal and City. I think Villa fourth. I don't know who's third. I don't know. Let me decide from what everyone else says.
All right. Luke?
I'm just going pretty much what it is right now, to be honest. Arsenal, City, Villa, Liverpool.
Okay, and Callum?
It's a bit of a weird one because Villa are 8 points ahead of Liverpool right now as well in third. So they'd obviously have to have a pretty big drop off to drop out third. I know they lost to. Who did they lose to? Did they lose to Arsenal?
Yeah, they got battered.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, yeah. And obviously they drew with Crystal Palace, I think, the other day, didn't they? But before that, they were on what was it, like 16 game unbeaten or something? Like because they started the season pretty badly, didn't they? Aston Villa. In fact, they went the first 5 games or so without a win, and they were in like down in the bottom places, and then they went on this huge run to get themselves to third. So it's possible that any team in that particular area can do that if Villa drop off. But I think it's most likely to probably stay as it is. Do I think Newcastle could maybe get fourth? I mean, I'd like to think so, but probably not. So Arsenal to win because I want them to win. I want to see a different team to win the league. To be fair, definitely not City again, at least. So Arsenal, City, Villa, and then I will stick with Liverpool fourth. Sorry.
Okie dokie then. So that's our top 4 predictions then, guys. So let's go with the relegation zone, and I don't think this will take long either because it's
exactly the way it is now.
Yeah, so as of right now, the bottom 3 is Wolves on 7 points. Jesus Christ. Burnley 13 points, and West Ham, who've had an awful season, 14 points, 7 points adrift of Forest to a 17th. Yeah, that's do we all agree those are the 3 that are going down, or do you think Forest do you think West Ham can pull off a late comeback and maybe Forest will slip down? I don't know, under Dyche.
No.
Nope.
No.
I do think I do think that Wolves will beat Derby's record though. They won't get the worst points record.
No, definitely not now.
Yeah, I was going to say the worst. It was 11 points, right? They're already on 7 now. So,
but they were on 2 3 games ago. So.
Yeah, I know. They've unbeaten in 3, which is not too bad. They could go on a little run and maybe stick Burnley at the bottom of the table, but I don't think. I don't think any of the 3 teams are going to string together enough results to pick up 7 points because West Ham are 7 points behind Forest, as I think Adam just said. It's just poor. I mean, I'm embarrassed that we've lost to West Ham because they've only won 3 games all season and we were one of them, which is one of those things like one of the 3 points we dropped because we went ahead against them as well. But yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that they're gonna be where they are, and Nuno Espirito Santo is probably gonna be the first manager to ever be sacked twice in one season.
Oh, poor bloke. Oh, he had such a good thing going with Forest, didn't he? But then, Marinakis. Never mind. So yeah, okay. So we all agree on the relegation zone. Is there anything else you lads want to talk about before we wrap this up? Maybe any surprise teams or surprise players of the season?
We've already mentioned Brentford being 5th.
Oh,
That's huge.
Sunderland, I guess.
Oh yeah, and of course Sunderland as well, because
Sunderland have been
I
the
think
big-
Sunderland were fourth at one point, weren't they? I'm fairly certain they were very up there toward the very good start to the season. But then I think three of us predicted Sunderland would stay up, didn't we? I think there was only one person, I can't remember who it was, who said Sunderland would probably still go
I
down.
think that was me. I'm not sure. Not sure.
But yeah, I mean,
remember.
like their team is, they have, apart from what I was saying about a lot of them being in AFCON, they've done a really good job.
Just goes to show if you work really hard and spend a crap ton of money, you too can get to the top place of the league.
All right then, lads. So I think that's pretty much everything. Yes, thank you once again. It's been a pleasure. We'll see. Like I said, we'll see how the second half of the season is for all 5 of our teams, and where they finish come May. So yes, the 5 of us will be back. I think it's May, isn't it? At the end of the season for our season review. Yes, thank you, lads. Thank you, Callum. Thank you, James. Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Matthew. And we'll see you all in May for our season review. Woo! Thanks, lads. Got to turn mouse back on. Sorry, like. Thanks, lads.
Cheers, boys.
Thanks
Woo!
very much.